I wanted to make a video today and bring awareness to the difference between having a repressed memory and a suppressed memory. What the differences are and how we can experience a repressed memory. A repressed memory is the less commonly known. Suppressed memories we are all familiar with. It's when we consciously make the decision to block out a memory that's surrounding an event, situation that is either too traumatic for us, or we feel as though we can't handle it emotionally, mentally, and there are memories attached to this, there are people attached to it. We remember things surrounding suppressed memories. And the difference between a suppressed memory and a repressed memory is that the repressed memory is something that we unconsciously do to block out a severe trauma that happens. And it's the way for our minds to act in severe situations. There's an actual neurological change that happens within our brains to enable us to survive the particular event that we're experiencing at that moment. And the reason why I felt it was important is because I personally learned about repressed memories probably about 2.5 years ago when I was in therapy. And I was in therapy for a very traumatic event that happened that involved sexual trauma growing up as a child. And while I was visiting this particular trauma, I had a memory come into my mind that I completely forgot about up until that moment. And this was probably like 11 or 12 years later that all of a sudden I'm sitting in my therapist's office and I'm like, wait, this is so weird. And I remember telling her, I'm like, it's so crazy. I just had like this memory, and thankfully I was there when it happened because I was so confused. I didn't understand how could I forget something so traumatic, because once that memory came back and I sat there and I was like thinking like, whoa, wait a minute, I remember that. It was like a floodgate opened, and there were a ton of memories that came back associated with this particular event. And there were names, like I remember the weather, just very, very detailed. And along with that came, like it just happened. And it was like I was revisiting it. I was revisiting it all over again. And I remember how devastated I was when this event happened, with this memory that all of a sudden came back. So I understood why it was way too much for me to handle at that time. And I think I was about 19 or 20 years old when this had happened. And my therapist, of course, noticed that I was just completely taken back. I was blown away. I was so confused that I didn't remember it. And of course, now I feel like I'm in that moment again, like it just happened, but I'm this different person now. So now I'm enraged and I'm mad. It's like all these things come up when we have these repressed memories surface on us. And I remember leaving the therapist's office that day, driving home. By the time I got home, my phone already had a missed call and a voicemail from her. And when I listened to it, she was basically just saying to me like, "Hey, Michelle, I know today was rough. Therapy session was a lot for you, but I want you to know that what you experienced was a repressed memory. And there's a difference between the repressed memory and a suppressed memory." And that was very comforting to me because I was so disappointed in myself that I had forgotten this, even though I knew that it was nothing great to remember. It wasn't a great memory, but I felt as though it's something I should have remembered. It was a big deal. So I just wanted to make a quick video about a repressed memory. A lot of times I did a little research on it because I dived down these little rabbit holes of things like this, like what makes us do the things we do, how we are to be the people that we are. Like I love all that stuff. So I did my little research of stuff, and I found that a lot of times this stems from childhood, like repressed memories. Are more common in childhood. Not to say that they don't happen in adulthood, it's just more common in childhood. And me personally had a very rough childhood. So now I'm reflecting back on my childhood and I'm like, wow, there are a huge gap of years where I just don't remember any memories. And knowing the type of childhood that I had, I can see that there were probably some very traumatic things that were happening to me at that time. And that's why my mind just kind of blocked it out. Now, when you have repressed memories, it almost kind of forms like a black hole in your subconscious mind, and anything that's associated within that time frame kind of gets sucked into that black hole as well, and they could be good things and bad things. um, a lot of examples of people who suffer from repressed memories are people who suffer from sexual assault, mental abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. It's our body's way of trying to survive the event that we're living through that is very traumatic. Like our body knows, neurologically, there's a lot of stuff that happens in our brain and our bodies and why we react the way we do. So I just wanted to make this quick video. I know I said that before and then I started talking again, but I don't want to make the video too long. Hopefully someone out there is looking for an answer, or some other understanding of someone that's been through this, and I have, and I understand. You're not going crazy. Don't beat yourself up. Know that there is therapy out there. I highly recommend therapy. If you have any type of regressed memories that are coming up, repressed memories that are coming up, I highly recommend you see a therapist. It's something that you really shouldn't do on your own. It's a very scary thing to dive into because you don't know what's going to surface when you get into it. And I will personally say that when I have dove into my repressed memories, there was a lot of things that surfaced, and at times I really questioned if I could really face things for its truth. Which also I have to say, it's taken me a long time to be able to discuss certain things in my life. And at this point, I am at a wonderful place where I feel like I'm kind of like an open book, which is why I'm able to record these videos. And I hope that someone that was in a position that I was in finds my videos, finds a sense of comfort and understanding, knowing that you're not alone, you're not crazy. Um, and that these things happen whether you have control over them or not. So just most importantly, take care of yourself. Make sure that you find the right outlets that are healthy for you, that keep you mentally strong, emotionally strong, because that's your foundation to everything. When you work through these traumas, when you peel these traumas away, you have to have a good state of mind. You have to be in a good mindset. You have to love yourself, surround yourself with healthy people, which could be hard. So, plan accordingly. And you are your biggest investment. So trust me, planning accordingly is the best thing you can do. Surround yourself with beautiful people that love you, that trust you, that are not judgmental, and that are understanding. And if you need to speak, message me. I'm always here for anybody that needs. And I hope that you find some sense of comfort. I'm sending you a lot of love and a lot of strength. Don't ever give up on yourself. You're your biggest fan. You should be your biggest fan. And if you're not, I'll be your number one fan for now. So, sending you love.